It is 6:00 p.m. I will call this meeting of the Miami Township Board of Trustees to order. Will you please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Posey.
Present.
Mr. Morris. Here. Mr. Culp.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is the reading of casualties. Chief Stiegelmeier.
Good evening, Board. The following is the first responder casualty list for the period of June 22nd through July the 5th of 2022. Detention Officer Jeremiah James Story, Perry County Sheriff's Office, Arkansas. End of watch June 22nd, 2022. Canine XO, the Pascagoula Police Department, Mississippi. End of watch June 23rd, 2022. Canine Odin, Virginia State Police, Virginia. End of watch June 26, 2022. Sergeant Richard Lopez, Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, Arizona. End of watch June 28, 2022. Reserve Officer Jeffrey Richardson, Poteet Police Department, Texas. End of watch June 29, 2022. Deputy Sheriff Bradley Johnson, Bibb County Sheriff's Office, Alabama. End of watch June 30th, 2022. Captain Ralph Frazier, Prestonsburg Police Department, Kentucky. End of watch June 30th, 2022. Deputy Sheriff William Petrie, Floyd County Sheriff's Office, Kentucky. End of watch June 30th, 2022. Canine Drago, Floyd County Sheriff's Office, Kentucky. End of watch Thursday, June 30th, 2022. And finally, Police Officer Jacob Russell Chaffins, Prestonsburg Police Department, Kentucky. End of watch July 1st, 2022.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We have no guests or presentations, and the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. I make a motion we approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is new business. Resolution number 5722, a resolution to appoint Miami Crossing Joint Economic Development District Board Member. Administrator Hess.
That's to fill a position with the Miami Crossing JED, which includes the city of Miamisburg, and after consulting with Mr. Snyder, is our recommendation that Alex Carlson be appointed to that position.
You also have resolution number 582022, a resolution to appoint Miami Township Dayton Joint Economic Development District Board Member.
That's also known as the airport JED, and that position will be filled by Mr. Snyder.
Resolution number 59-2022 is a resolution to accept the resignation of a zoning commission member, and resolution number 60-2022 is a resolution to appoint a zoning commission regular member. Mr. Carlson.
Good evening, Board. Resolution 59, take Resolution 60. Mr. Kurt Hatcher on the Zoning Commission, he has a regular appointment, has given notice that he is moving out of Miami Township and will no longer be eligible to serve on the Zoning Commission. So Mr. Hatcher has submitted a letter of resignation provided to you, Board, effective June 18th, 2022. So this resolution is to accept that resignation. And with that, staff spoke with Mr. William Kelly. Mr. William Kelly was appointed to the Township Zoning Commission as an alternate member earlier this year. He has been a well-attended member, very active and engaged, has expressed interest in serving and filling that Zoning Commission vacancy. Staff certainly feels that he is qualified and would be a great addition as a regular member to the Zoning Commission. So those two movements on the Zoning Commission, if you have any questions, be happy to discuss.
Any questions? This is the public comment period. I would invite members of the public to come forward, but there are no one present today. We will move to consideration of the resolutions and motions. I will make a motion that we adopt resolution number 57-2022, a resolution to appoint Miami Crossing Joint Economic District Board Member. Is there a second?
I will second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 58-2022, a resolution to appoint Miami Township Dayton Joint Economic Development District Board Member. And that would be Mr. Christopher Snyder.
I will second. Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 59-2022, a resolution to accept the resignation of a zoning commission member. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 60-2022, a resolution to appoint a zoning commission regular member, Mr. William Kelly.
I will second. Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I will make a motion that we resume the public hearing for zoning case number 454-22, continuing from the June 7th, 2022 hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Following is the order in which this hearing will proceed. Staff will give a report, the applicant will give a presentation, all proponents will speak, all opponents will speak. A time limit of 5 minutes will be placed on each of the speakers, and they will be requested to give their name and address for the record. The board will review and record the findings of fact requirements for this case. The board will close the public hearing and make a final determination on the findings of fact. The board will make a motion on the resolution concerning this case. The board will now hear the report of staff. Mr. Carlson, have the legal requirements for this hearing been met?
They have.
Would you review your report at this time?
Thank you, Board. The only zoning case before you tonight, ZC 454-22. It's a rezoning request of 3.9 acres from the B2 Business District into a Special Purpose Planned Unit Development District. This case was heard by the Zoning Commission at their May 10th, 2022 meeting. It was initially heard by this board at the June 7th, 2022 meeting. The applicant requested that the board consider continuation of the case to have further discussion with legal counsel about the stipulations that Zoning Commission recommended. Since speaking with the applicant, they feel that they are fully aware of the stipulations and the intent, and we're comfortable moving forward with this hearing today. So the Zoning Commission did recommend approval of the case with stipulations and a 4-0 vote. Just as a reminder of the property itself, the property is located south of Lyons Road, directly east of I-75, north of 675, west of 741. Again, the property is zoned B2, the business district. Here's another sort of aerial side view, the yellow outline of the property itself, so you can see the boundaries. Again, the adjacent property is the Walker Auto Group property. This property was purchased by Mr. John Walker, the highlighted property, with the intent of, in the future, developing this lot as some type of expansion to an auto dealership or other motorized equipment sales. However, there's no initial plan filed, no preliminary plan for how this lot will develop. They would like to initially use the existing ODOT garage building. I'll show you in just a second. To be able to use that garage immediately as accessory to the existing Walker Auto. So cleaning vehicles or doing some type of light body work in that structure until they determine in the future that they would like to come forward with a development plan. So adoption of these development standards would allow them to use that as an accessory use where today they are disconnected properties. So here's a quick diagram. There are some older structures on the property that they intend to remove immediately. They're just not in fantastic condition, whereas the garage is in relatively good shape, and they would like to maintain that going forward, potentially demolishing it in the future as part of a larger final development plan. So generally, the Zoning Commission felt that the draft development standards adequately covered a final development plan coming forward for site design, landscaping, lighting, building architecture, and other items that would be reviewed at that time. The major holdup that led to establishing these stipulations was access to this property off of Lyons Road. So today, where there are two access points, one to the ODOT site, one to the Walker site, the Zoning Commission, based on evidence received from the Montgomery County Engineer's Office, a recommendation to consolidate those access into a single point, and in discussion with staff in the Montgomery County Engineer's Office, that some modified access be established in the future before a full development plan happen on the existing ODOT site. So that's the summary of these stipulations. We'll go through them in a minute, but just quickly to walk through the use compatibility land use review process established by the plan. Generally, the property is a commercial land use in an area surrounded by commercial land uses. The property is a corridor commercial property, surrounded by corridor commercial properties, but currently as an ODOT outpost is more of a service industrial type, where this would create more compatible subtypes. In terms of land use impact, staff discussed with the zoning commission and the applicant in the zoning commission hearing that certainly a car dealership is a more impactful use than what otherwise would be permitted under the B2 zoning district. With that being said, the surrounding land uses are I-75 and another car dealership. So while that increased intensity is happening, something should be reviewed in terms of access to ensure that safe access is made. I'll show you another diagram here for access. So additional traffic will be generated, be more impactful. Exterior storage on the property is a requirement of this use type, so that is more impactful than what otherwise would be permitted in the B2. There will be additional lighting to light the property, the vehicles. This is a particular point that ODOT pointed out to staff that needs to be carefully reviewed going forward, being adjacent to I-75, to ensure that there is adequate screening for any potential glare. So getting into development capacity, what is the development capacity of this particular site? So again, going from vacant to any use will be more impactful. However, the property has direct access to water sanitary lines. The stormwater control is likely dated, would be required as any future final development plan submittal. There's a steep slope near Lyons Road, will certainly be a development challenge, but should certainly be reviewed as part of an access plan with Montgomery County Engineer's Office. Minimal existing buffers today. It's almost entirely a paved lot. Certainly some review will need to happen as to adding some green space to this property, but it does have access to a major roadway, pending some manipulation. So here's an image of the existing ODOT outpost access and the existing walker access. Currently, the existing walker access, according to the engineer's office, is closer to the intersection than they would prefer. It does not have direct access to a left turn lane, where some modified access point could have visibility to the west, could have an adequate distance from the intersection, and could have access to a left turn lane, consolidating access to a single point and allowing site connectivity between the two sites rather than at Lyons Road, crossing a bike path in direct proximity to what does stop up traffic as people try to turn left today into the existing Walker Auto Group. So two items that could be improved with potential stipulations listed by the zoning commission. There could be improved connectivity in the Miami Crossing District. Again, there is a bike path that crosses two access points. If that's consolidated to one, would surely improve intersection safety and improve that connection there, east and west on Lyons Road. Another item considered by the Dayton Mall Master Plan, again, is to add some green space. This site was identified as an area that is, again, largely impervious surface. So some special attention should be paid to creating more pervious surface and green space on the lot. So in terms of whether or not the property could be developed today, again, the B2 district will not allow for car sales. It is designated for indoor sales only. But with that said, draft development standards have been drafted that do set a high standard for building design, site landscaping, site lighting, and general site design. So these are the recommendations proposed by the Zoning Commission. Again, that some modified access plan be installed before any permitted uses happen on site or a final development plan is approved on site. However, the applicant would be able to commence use of the property for accessory use in the short term to allow some use of the property until they are able to reach a further developed plan. If the board has any questions, I'd be happy to discuss at this time.
Any questions for Mr. Carlson? Thank you.
Thank you, board.
The board will now hear from the applicant. Good evening. Could you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Scott Stone. I represent the applicant. My business address is located at 7501 Paragon Road, Dayton, Ohio. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about this application.
Any questions for Mr. Stone? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
The board will now hear from all proponents of the project. Seeing none, the board will now hear from all opponents of the project. Similarly, seeing none, at this time, the Board of Trustees is required under Article 31, Section 3104 of the Miami Township zoning resolution to make specific findings of fact based on the particular evidence presented at this hearing. The fiscal officer should now read each standard and call the roll to determine the finding of each trustee on the following standards.
Section 3104A, the site will be accessible from public roads that are adequate to carry the traffic that will be imposed upon them by the proposed development or the proposed development standards where only the proposed uses and development standards are to be adopted, and provides for pedestrian accessibility and connectivity throughout the design. Mr. Posey.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Culp.
Yes.
Any board comments?
Section 3104B, the proposed development and/or development standards adequately address issues related to compatibility with adjacent uses, environmental issues, and overall design compatibility, including lighting and landscaping, and do so in a manner that improves upon what would be achieved under the non-PD zoning standards. Mr. Posey.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Culp.
Yes.
Any board comments under this section?
Section 3104C, the proposed development and/or development standards are intended to produce a superior design and construction that would normally occur under the non-PD zoning standards and will not cause an undue burden on public services and facilities, including but not limited to fire and police protection. Mr. Posey.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Culp.
Yes.
Any board comments on this section?
Section 3104D, the proposal is in accordance with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. Mr. Posey.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Culp.
Yes.
Any board comments on this section?
Section 3104E, if the project is proposed to contain non-residential uses, the conditions imposed mitigate any potential significant impacts associated with the proposal, including maintaining a minimum 50-foot distance from retail, office, or other non-industrial business structure, or 100-foot distance from a manufacturing structure to a residential building outside the planned development district, with a minimum 30-foot property line setback for a retail, office, or other non-industrial use, and 50-foot property line setback for a manufacturing use along any property lines adjacent to a residentially zoned property. Mr. Posey.
Yes.
Mr. Morris.
Yes.
Mr. Culp.
Yes.
Any board comments for this section? I move to close the public hearing for zoning case number 454-22 and find that all of the above standards were met by the evidence presented in the public hearing. Is there a second?
I will second.
Any discussion regarding this closure?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 53-2022, a resolution to adopt a zoning map amendment from B2 Business District to SPPUD Special Purpose Planned Unit Development District under zoning case number 454-22. Therefore be it resolved, the Miami Township Board of Trustees, approves the zoning map amendment and the attached Exhibit A planned development standard under zoning case number 454-2022 and adopts the zoning commission recommendation. Is there a second?
I will second.
Mr.
Any
Posey.
discussion?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Culp.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is department head comments. Chief Stiegelmeier. Mr. Schweikert.
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Carlson.
I have none. Thank you, Board.
Mr. Snyder.
I just wanted to let the board know that, again, our filing to become an energy aggregator was filed on June 13th with the PUCO. So we are awaiting our certification from that state agency to move forward with the energy aggregation process. So,
Thank you for that update. Mr. McCord.
I have none.
Administrator Hess.
I have none.
Elected officials comments. Mr. Culp. I have none. Mr. Morris.
Nothing.
I'd like to thank everyone who attended today, the Breakfast with the Board at The Vienna Springs campus, it was nice to be out there, nice to see everyone. We had updates from the fire district as well as a presentation from the local SBA representative. It was informative and a useful experience. We have no work session at this time. I will move into an executive session for two purposes. The first is to consider confidential information relating to marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic assistance, development assistance, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G8. The second executive session will be to adjourn into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, unless the public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1. Any discussion regarding this motion?
No, I will make a second.
Thank you for the second. Mr. Recorder, will you call the roll?
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Morris.
Aye.
Mr. Cole.
Aye.
We will be adjoining into the conference room for these executive sessions. We will not conduct any further public business, and will adjourn the meeting from the executive sessions. Thank you.